Good morning, everybody. Check and see if my sound is coming through, okay? Looks like I'm getting some feedback. Hold on, guys. Okay, let's see if that changes anything. Looks like it's still getting a double audio here. I'm gonna restart the stream real fast, guys. Give me a second. Alright, let's see if that works. Come on. Alright, let's see if that works. There we go. Alright, cool. Alright, thanks, guys. Good morning. Yeah, I was my mic was I was getting double mic'd there, unfortunately. It's good to see you guys back. I was in Canada for a few days, playing a couple of concerts, and it went pretty well. I was pretty busy. I was able to trade some. Who did I vote for? I voted for Hillary. She was the better of the two evils in my mind. Yeah, so I voted a bit early. So yeah, I was in Canada playing a couple concerts. I did have time to trade, but I couldn't stream. I didn't have two monitors. Uh, and I had a pretty good week on my account, but some of my subscribers didn't quite get all the trades that I had. And I'll tell you what happened there. So give me a second. And why that was the case. All right, so you can see my account here. You can see that I had a dip in my balance during the course of last week, and then a launch up at the end, and a nice recovery, and then came out in profit for the overall week. And my subscribers didn't get a couple of the trades, and the reason why is because I was out of town, and I didn't set up my EA, my SimpleTrader EA onto my server. I forgot to do that when I went out of town, and didn't realize I didn't do so. So my subscribers missed out on a few trades that caused me to have a full recovery, but not a full recovery for them. So it's a little unfortunate, but it still was a pretty decent recovery overall. So what that looks like. Oh, actually, well, before I get into that, let's go over just a brief summary of what we're going to go over today. So I want to spend the next about an hour with you guys to talk about. So what we'll hit first is the news, the fundamental side of trading, which is the news, what's coming out, the elections, what the election may have in store for the market. Then we'll go into the trades that I took over last week since I was gone, and show you what I did and what profit I came out with. And then we'll get into how to trade this week, what trades are potentially good to take today or tomorrow or the rest of the week, what currencies are best for that, all that kind of stuff. So let's get into the fundamental side now. All right, so we don't have a lot of news coming out today. It's really light. There's just the balance for China. Um, and tomorrow there's not a whole lot of stuff going on in regards to scheduled news besides just the election. There's manufacturing production for the pound. Um, the election is going to be could be a pretty big deal, and I'll talk about that for trading today and tomorrow and the rest of the week actually. Uh, there's some official cash rate for the NZD and a press conference, so there's going to be volatility most likely on that pair on Wednesday. Crude oil investments, probably not too much volatility there unless it's pretty bad or significant or really good. Unemployment claims, this could drive some movement, especially if if the number is a lot better than the forecast or a lot worse. Um, but if it's not too different, then don't expect a lot of volatility. Consumer sentiment, um, there could be some there. I'm not expecting a whole lot. Overall, pretty light news week besides the election. Election is all the talk. Um, so what happened over the weekend with the gap? So the beginning of the week. Let me get to that now. So you guys see, you can see all my trades, and I'll get to those in just a second. But what about this huge gap? I know that a lot of you guys have already talked about it. What caused this gap? Well, it was the so what's being said that caused this huge gap on pretty much all USD pairs was the FBI uh, saying that there are no problems with the new email case in regards to Hillary Clinton. And so that is finally finished at this point, at least for now. And so that is what's said to have caused this big gap on a lot of the USD pairs. And this one was 80 pips on the USD, the Euro US dollar. Uh, luckily, I wasn't in any trades. I closed everything out. And because likely I would have been still long on some positions if I would have held. Um, so I'm gonna check to see if there's any questions coming in. Oh, wrinkle guy, vote Hillary. I'm out. uh, Hint gray. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're both really flawed guys. Both Hillary and Trump are both very flawed um, candidates uh, for the election. And to me, I find Hillary the better of the two flawed candidates um, at this point. I'm a little bit scared of Trump coming into the presidency. I feel like he's just not as educated in politics as he should be. That's just me. I find that Hillary is more educated, but uh, her beliefs and stands what she stands for sometimes can be a little bit odd, and also the whole um, email case is just kind of a mess. Um, but I mean, and the whole Benghazi thing and all that stuff. It's a little sketchy, you know. I feel like this presidency has uh, the two most flawed candidates in history, pretty much. So our choices are not that great. I think that both of them are corrupted, honestly, Requoter. Um, I like I like Hillary's values, what she stands for. Overall, better. I know that she has a lot of problems too. A lot of things I don't like what she stands for, but overall, I still find her a better candidate. Yeah, yeah, right. I agree with you, Winston. It's funny because I find that like a lot of people like Trump in the trading room here. Um, I find it interesting. Yeah, Demon, that's my hope that the world will stay in peace for the next 4 years. But either one of them, I find there may be problems with that. Either one of them could start a war. I know that, yeah, Trump doesn't have a really great foreign policy, uh, and Hillary has a foreign policy, but nobody really likes her very much. Um, and she seems to ruffle a lot of feathers that way. So I find that there could be problems, world problems in regards to relationships uh, with the two of them. Either one of them, it's going to be problems. Um, and I'm actually going to kind of miss Obama in comparison at this point. Yeah, Timothy 24, you're right. Her foreign policy record is not great, but uh, Trump's it's better. At least she has a foreign policy. I mean, that's all I can say. At least she has one. All right, so I know we can talk about Trump and Hillary all freaking day. And I'm here not to talk about politics. I'm really here to talk about the charts. So I have a question about your account from your website. Sure. Shoot, Homer. While you're typing, I'll start talking about my trades. Okay. Okay. So I still have $7,500 in the account. Like I said, I made a decent recovery. So I'm going to mark up the charts here and show you what I did and what happened here. So I took my initial trade here at this resistance line. So this red resistance line on my indicator. Um, and it was a counter trend trade. So you can see it was green here. It was a counter trend trade that I don't typically take, but I decided to take it because it was at a a resistance point up there, and there was an inside candle, a bearish inside candle. So hold that thought. I'm coming back to the comments here. How much profit and percentage do you think you will make this year? Ooh, that's hard. That's hard to estimate right now. I'm hoping that my hope is to make anywhere from 10 to 20% per year. And I don't find that to be a really high expectation. So I'm hoping that that's what I will be able to pull out. This year, it's not gonna happen. You can see that my account is down. My account is down, and I've been showing people, updating them about it with the move down. I don't think I'm going to make a 10% recovery by the end of the year. I don't think that's possible. I do find that I could make anywhere from 5, maybe 10% if things go well. Yeah, I think I could do that. Um, so as long as I stay positive, that's all I really care about at this point. Homer, I'm not really sure if I've seen you in my streams before. The drawdowns, these are not drawdowns. These are actually losses. These are balanced losses. They were losses. They just happened. Unfortunate trading. And I'm a counter trend trader, and that's what this stream has been called. And I had some unfortunate trades. They were to my liking, and I thought they were good, but they continued going up. Now, the biggest reason for my losses recently are the heavy trends on most pairs. The trends are very strong. There's not a lot of pullback, and as you know, my system's called Pullback. And so I'm looking for the pullbacks in these trends when they're pushing up or down. And this time, the trends were just too heavy. There wasn't a lot of pullback, and it caused the stream of losses that I had. Okay, so I don't have to talk too much more about that, as I've already mentioned it a lot in my streams already. Okay. So let's talk about the last week's recovery or last week's trades. So uh, my initial entry was here, like I said, at the resistance level and the inside candle here. I was expecting the pair to go down a bit. It did not, and I entered again. I entered again at a support level that I saw in previous history in the past. and that didn't work out as well. Then I entered at another support, resistance, two more resistance areas, and my last one was a pending order placed right at the resistance level up here on the red line that you can see with the indicator. Um, and eventually decided I wanted to close out the stream of trades. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I closed them out right here. So trade 1, 2, 3, and 4. I closed them out right here. Now it's very interesting because at this point, when the Euro US dollar was continuing to go up, uh, considering the news, I didn't think that this was going to reverse. The euro was too strong at this point, and I cut my losses. I cut my losses early, and it was a mistake. But the thing is I didn't see anything in the news, or that was potentially coming out to push the euro back down, or the USD back up. And there wasn't really anything in the news. The Euro US dollar just decided it was going to start pushing down here, um, and it would have gotten me out of my trades. But this is how the market works sometimes, guys. That you enter your stream of trades, you close them out, and it reverses right on top of you. It literally reversed right on top of my trades here when I closed out. I closed out for a smaller loss, anywhere from I think it was 1 to 2%. Then I entered a couple of long positions. Now these long positions were more a higher risk level. Now you can see that my initial risk on my trades were 0.4, 0.04, 0.04 here, and I think this one was a 0.8. 0.4. So this one was also a 0.04. And then this one here was a 0.08. Then these two were 0.08s as well, and there was two of them. And I was looking for the Euro US dollar to continue its movement up since I saw that there was a lot of potential for it to continue to rise. And bam, I was wrong. Pushed down, closed out for another loss, and then entered a higher lot trade. Now, a lot of people would say, "Oh, you're chasing your trades here, or you're chasing your positions because you keep losing, and then you're trying to find a win somewhere." There's some truth to that, yeah. But right now, I'm just trying to play out to try to fix this position, to try to get out at break even or even small profit. Now you can see here that again I shorted, so this is a short trade. And this one was at 32 lots, and I was looking for this to the trend to continue back down. After seeing this might have been a good indication for the market to continue back down. The USD finally is seeing some continuation of the larger picture of the trend. So if you're looking at the larger picture on the 1 hour or on the 4 hour, you'll see that the push up was pretty substantial. A lot more substantial than a lot of people thought. It broke all the previous uh, swing levels, and it continued to ride up. Now, a lot of people didn't expect that. They expected the euro to continue falling, and so that retracement was quite substantial, and actually even changed the trend on multiple pairs, on multiple time frames. All right, so I entered the 32 lot trade. Now I was able to go to 60.64 on this account because it's a 50 to 1 leveraged account. All right. And so this was my second to last trade. Now, as you see, it went down a little bit and then it reversed and I had to close out for another loss. And this one was my last trade at 0.64 lots. And you see what happened? It went down against me initially. Then I was in the trade during NFP. Now I held on to this trade during NFP, and I had a stop loss. I had a stop loss in place. My stop loss was down here, and as you can see, the market never hit that point. NFP, right on this candle. NFP happened. and I saw that the numbers overall were negative. Now, initially, when the NFP numbers came out, the market jumped down. Now, I knew that a lot of times in NFP, there will be a bit of a whipsaw action, especially if it pushes quickly in one direction and if it's against the news. So I knew that in this case, that since the news was overall negative for NFP or mixed, and the push was overall down, and the elections were haunting as well. The elections are only it's tomorrow, but on Friday, I knew that was going to weigh in on the insecurity of the euro US dollar. So what I did was I entered another position down near the bottom not this, of this whipsaw action. So it pushed down. I chose this area thinking that it might be a good place to re-enter the market, and it did. It was. So I was able to help with my recovery on the trade and close out in profit overall when the market hit here near the end of the day. I could have held on a little bit longer, but I saw that this was a good point. The push up was slowing at this here. It hit a resistance point as well, and the push up was slowing at this point. So I closed it out and locked in the profit and came out with an overall profit on my account. And that's what this looks like here. All right. Okay, so I'm going back to any questions. Probably not a lot coming in right now, I would think. I don't trade the USD MXN DY. Okay, yeah. So since I talked about that trade, I'm going to talk about the other ones that I took, and then we'll get into some potential trades to take, like for example, uh, or Horm UZD is asking about the pound USD. We'll get to that in just a second. So my other positions. Uh, it's the ones I wanted to talk about. Okay, so I'm trading my EA as well, guys. My EA took a couple of trades on the pound Australian dollar. As you can see, it took one here. It was a good profit of about 20 pips, and then it took two here for 20 pips as well. So nice and clean trades there. I also had a trade on the the euro pound. There was the push down. The RMI was below um, my it's supposed to be 20, my 20 level. Let me change that. Was below the 20 level, and an inside candle, bullish inside candle, and then the push back up, and then the profit. So that's what my EA does, is actually looks for those conditions. There was another trade on the euro Japanese yen. Let me see if I can get that. Okay, yes, the two trades here on the support levels, one was in loss, one was in profit, closed them out here for an overall profit. And there was a nice trade on the euro Australian dollar that I took. This was on Thursday, I believe, with the shoot up from there. That one was with the trend. It looked good. It was at this support level with the trend, and then the lock another profit there. So that was about 60 pips. Is it 50? 65 pips. All right. All right. So we're gonna get into the to the pairs now, guys. See, I'll trade. That's what I'm gonna get into that in just a second. It's a good question though. I'll trade to 45. Uh, Most important thing: are you trading your plan? If so, have you can have if so, you have to continue as I am sure you have tested and retested your plan and know the long run if it will be profitable. Yes, so that I will follow up with that in just a second. Okay. Uh, so let's get into the pairs. All right. I don't necessarily need any of these indicators anymore. They were just showing you the trades that I was taking. Um, but well, I guess we can use them a bit. So my overall thoughts now on the Euro US dollar on USD pairs is that as long as people think that uh, Hillary will win, then this will push down. If there's uh, if it's insecure, if they think that there's still a pretty good chance that Trump will, then I think that the euro will gain over the USD and the USD will start to fall. If there is like yeah insecurity with that, um, and I think that the USD will gain on most pairs, as long as they think that Hillary will take a victory in in the election. Okay, 505. Okay. So if I were to hold anything, I'm not really sure if I would hold much, guys, right now. It's the elections tomorrow. If Trump happens to win, there could be a massive change in direction. That is that likely that this will shoot up, that the USD will fall on pretty much all pairs. Uh, Trump becoming president is very would be very scary situation for the financial markets. Most people will pull out. A lot of people will pull out their money and their investments, pull out of their investments in the USD, because Trump becoming president um, means insecurity, because there is not a lot. We don't know what will happen next. At least we have some kind of an expectation if Hillary were to come into office. We have a better understanding what to expect, at least initially. With Trump, he can be a very irrational person, and so it's hard to read what his next steps will be. So that will cause the insecurity that I'm talking to you about. Uh, it's the same kind of situation. Why Pyrian? Uh, the USD will gain value as you can see, it's already starting now. Um, and the reason why is because what we just heard about the FBI, this push, this gap that happened. Um, I expect it to continue until we hear that Trump is making a comeback or that it's closer than we thought. The the currency markets will be active during the election tomorrow night. The people will be seeing looking at the TV to see who's winning, who's has the lead, who's expected to win, all that kind of stuff. And you'll see lots of probably these jumps going up and down during that time, depending on who is looking like the winner is going to be the winner. The same thing with the USD Japanese yen, unless there's some big news in Japan that causes um, more strength on the yen, then I would expect this to continue to ride up. I don't know if we'll know the result tomorrow. It depends on how close it is. They could postpone things if there's some states that are really close and they need to recount. But I would expect that we'd probably know by tomorrow. That's possible, Timothy 24. If stocks fall, wouldn't investors put more money to buy from lows? Yeah, that's very possible. Like what we're talking about here. I mean, it's the same idea of taking positions in a trend. So you have the push up with the trend up on the price, right? And you're buying on the dips. So you're buying here, you're buying in here and then for the shoot back up. That's exactly what people will likely do. But initially, and I'm talking about the initial reaction. So like over if Trump gets the presidency, USD stocks will probably likely fall the next morning once the market opens, and in the currency, the USD will likely fall as well, and a more initial reaction. I don't know how long they will fall for. I would imagine it's probably not going to be longer than a week. It just depends on how much chaos Trump causes once he becomes president. The same thing can happen with Hillary as well. I do find that there could be insecurity on both candidates, meaning that it doesn't matter who wins or loses, that the stock market and currency and the USD currency could fall anyway. But we did get a little bit of a hint that with the FBI and how they discontinued the case on the new emails, that with this gap that we're talking about shows that most people do not want think they are planning on shorting they or buying USD. So they're planning on buying USD if Clinton becomes president. Do you see the pound only dependent on the pound USD only dependent on the elections? Uh, right now, potentially, yeah. I find that most USD pairs are in that case right now are waiting for the elections. Like I was showing you the news. This is the news today. There's not a lot going on here. And so the markets are kind of just in a lull here, just waiting for something to push them. You have the manufacturing production, but I don't know how much that's going to actually move anything. Most people are going to be waiting for this election. But yeah, it's going to drive most USD pairs. The thing with the pound's a bit more tricky because uh, the Brexit is still putting a lot of weight on the pair, and for good reason. So this might be a more tricky pair to trade. I think it will still um, find the election. I still think it will react to the elections. Right now, it's at some support levels with the potential to bounce up from there. Um, but it could. I find it maybe not wise to continue this yet, but it's a hard play right now. Brexit, it's still very much in the news. Anything could change with that. News comes out that's not scheduled with the pound that causes erratic movements. And out of the USD pairs to trade during the election, I would not do the pound right now. I would consider maybe trading some of the other pound pairs, like the pound yen or the pound CAD or the pound Australian dollar, but I just don't know about the pound USD. Uh, since there's two important things coming into focus: the Brexit which has been in focus for a long time, and the election. Now, on the other pairs, like the pound Japanese yen, the most focus right now is just on the pound, and the same with the pound CAD as well. Um, so when there's two things pressing on a pair, it can become a little bit tricky to know how to play it. Uh, to play it. Okay, so a lot of questions still coming in for me. Ryan, I guess it will be the same if Clinton wins with gold. Gold will drop or remain neutral. It's hard to say with gold. I'm not your person for gold, but usually when the USD gains value, the gold will drop. Uh, so that's typically what happens when when currency the USD currency gains in value, the gold in most cases will fall in value. Um, I mean they're kind of a counter correlation, but it's difficult to know. If you want I know a gold expert is Gold Star, and he's the one that trades that a lot. He might be the person to ask when it comes to the outlook on gold during the election. Now, guys, most of the time I'm only reading questions that have my name in them. So make sure that you put my name in them, otherwise I might skip over them. Yes, I'll trade 245, and it's expected that the USD will strengthen. I mean, and like I said, we already got the hints from it with the gap that happened with the FBI statement. A further indication that the markets, the USD will rise. So if you guys are wanting to play this, if you're wanting to play the USD, the Euro US dollar, or just the USD in general, like USD Japanese yen, Euro US dollar, pound US dollar, even though I don't recommend that pair as much, uh, then USD CAD, then if you think that Hillary is going to win, then by all means short the Euro US dollar. But you got to understand that it could be a bumpy ride depending on how the election goes tomorrow. Uh, there could be ups and downs. If you have a tight stop loss, you could get stopped out, especially if they say Trump unexpectedly won a state that's important, which could easily happen. But I would expect this to fall initially today. If it's not going to fall hard, it will fall and it will creep down. Uh, and it will probably find support. The first areas of for support on this uh, are right around the whole number for me. This is the biggest place right here to consider. There may be a big enough fall today where it could actually find a support at this level, waiting for the elections. Well, all trader trades 245. I don't have a news strategy. I don't typically trade the news because it can be really tricky. For example, uh, let's just talk about the just real quickly the Euro US dollar on during no NFP. What happened? The news on the Euro US dollar or the USD was mostly negative and slightly neutral, and it jumped down initially, and then it jumped up, and then it jumped back down, and then eventually it actually did find its way and went back up. But that's what can be so hard about news trading, is that we don't know how the market is going to react to that news. Most people think, oh, if the news is positive USD, that the USD is going to gain in value. That's not always the case. It's a complete misconception in that way, or misunderstanding for traders, thinking that if news is negative or positive, it's easy to profit. That's never the case. We don't know how investors, hedge funds, corporations are going to react to that news. They could ignore it and they could say, oh, that's not a big deal. We're looking more at the news later this week that could cause us to actually take action in closing out trades or buying more. But some news statements can be ignored, and so that's why it can be really tricky to trade. I recommend what you do is you watch the election, you have your computer in front of you, and you see how it starts playing out. Now, if it starts looking like Hillary is potentially going to win, then start looking at maybe shorting the euro US dollar if you want to try to profit a bit. And that's my recommendation for playing out that. I'm not too interested in oil shares. I look at the oil a little bit because I do trade some CAD pairs, and oil does have a pretty large effect on the Canadian dollar. Uh, but I don't trade oil because my broker doesn't really allow it. I'm only allowed to trade currency pairs. It's up to you, Homer. That's a tricky call. Like you have the idea as is wait till it's official, or make a call to see if Hillary's going to win before it's actually official. That's still a prediction. You're still predicting that she's going to win, which is not typically the best way to play the forex. I mean, every trade that we take is a prediction, right? Uh, but if it's an educated prediction, like if she's won most of the states, there is a 70% chance that she's going to win at this point. Then, even though it's not official, then your chances are looking pretty good. At that point, you have likely a 70% chance of winning your trade, especially if it's a short. Um, but if Trump happens to come back and he has a 30% chance of winning, but he ends up winning the election, then yeah, you're going to get stopped out, big time. I know that there's going to be a lot of people trading this election because it's an easier thing to predict. Um, Meaning that it doesn't need to be official in order for you to start getting into the market. I would imagine that that the euro US dollar will fall the rest of the day and through the election, as long as Hillary keeps her lead and as long as that's known. The a Mace, how do I feel about the euro Japanese yen? Well, the euro will fall if the USD is gaining value. Uh, Most euro pairs will fall as well. Uh, how much? I don't know. You can see that since the USD has been falling a bit today. So let's look at it. So the USD has been falling since 20 GMT on my broker, 11.6. Okay, so let's look when that was. Okay, so this is 11.620 GMT. You can see it's been pretty neutral. It went up 37 pips and then it's basically back at where it was. So it's been pretty neutral. It's waiting for something, um, and I think overall it will creep down, just like all the other euro pairs will likely do as well. So here we go. The euro Australian dollar also going down, and in a much bigger way. The euro CAD also going down. Uh, the So as long as the USD is doing that, and now this doesn't mean that it's always going to be the case. Uh, the euro is weak on pretty much all levels right now, and it's the USD is not helping that. Uh, okay, if I were to be anything, I would be short here. If I were to predict, there's a couple websites that are predicting uh, Hillary to be the winner, right? Um, and that's just like that's the same thing as uh, an expert predicting that NFP will be negative. I mean, there's a good chance that from previous history that he's going to be right, but there's a chance that he could be wrong too. We don't really know what the stats are. There's some analysts that have high success rate in calling predictions. Um, we don't know if it's necessarily luck or skill or combination. Um, but it's good to be safe, and not playing those predictions too often. Now, this is a prediction that I feel like a lot of people will jump in on because they don't really need a professional to tell them that Hillary will probably be the winner. Right now, she's in the lead. And the FBI dropped the email case, and so it looks like she might gain some speed in the last second. If I were to do anything, I would be selling the euro and I would be buying the USD. And right now, there's a lot of euro pairs that are falling. But the best pair right now, I would do because the euro is weak on all the crosses as of now. It's pushing down, and the USD is gaining on pretty much all pairs. The UJ is one of them as well. Uh, and the Australian dollar is actually gaining against in this case, against the USD. So the USD hasn't quite hit its peak yet. It's still waiting for the elections, and that shows there. Okay. Mm, um, the news on NFP was not significant enough, so there was no follow through. But a strategy or trade plan must be in place to trade the news, otherwise best left alone. I agree with you, all trade. I rarely trade NFP unless I have trades that linger over, like in this case that I showed you with my trades here. So I had the trade that I left in, and so I realized that if it's not going to hit my stop loss, then it's probably going to bounce up, and the NFP results weren't significant enough. They were mixed, and I can show you that now. Let's talk about that real briefly. Okay, so the NFP, you have the positive on the hourly earnings, and then you have the negative. Now the 61K versus 74 is actually it's not that small. It's not that small considering, but what caused the more mixed was the unemployment rate being at 4.9, which is fine because it's what they predicted, but they also have the hourly earnings as a positive. So this 161K, um, which is a 13K under expectations, uh, was enough to cause some insecurity here, where it pushed down and it pushed back up. Um, Now I had a hunch, and that's about as far as we can go, that would potentially happen. I had my stop loss. I had my buy trade. I saw the mixed results. I saw that overall they were negative, and the election was haunting. This was before the FBI discontinued the emails with Clinton, and that there because of the insecurity with the election, I realized that there might be a continued push back up, and there was. It was a prediction. It was a guess, and I happened to guess right in the situation. I don't trade the NFP very often, but when I do, I, in most cases I'm right. But it's very rare that I actually play it. Okay. When considering the potential profit, wouldn't it be so large a beginning forex trader should try it? I'm not really sure what you're talking in regards to. Are you talking in regards to trading the election? Uh, No, Homer Newman, I did not study the MXN for this week's prospect. Well, it's like I said before, the outlook of things, guys, at the end of the week was so much different than the beginning of this week. That's how fast something can change. Uh, where the NFP numbers were not great. The election was very insecure because the FBI still had their case on Hillary at the time, and the numbers were tightening between Trump and Hillary, causing the insecurity in the push up. Now, that was my prediction that that would happen. But since the beginning of the week, the FBI case happened during the weekend, and then we had the huge gap. Then we had a bit of a recovery before then, and then the push back down and the continuation of the new move. Now, I think that will continue. Um, but the overall feeling is quite a bit different from here compared to here. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to predict that the FBI would make that change, right? That those kind of things happen all the time in the market, and that's why it's so hard to trade the market profitably because of those kind of unexpected things. And that's why when there's a lot of stress uh, happening worldwide, where China's in financial mess, Japan is struggling, Europe is struggling, the U.S. is being uh, very careful in their steps or conservative. Um, that we have all this scheduled news, right? This the scheduled data that we always look at and we have as traders for a long time. But when there's a lot of other pressing matters where unexpected things could come out, um, then it makes it a lot more. It makes the markets a lot more unpredictable. Um, so and this is a perfect example of that, where the FBI came out with the change for Hillary's case, and how that just completely changes the overall outlook on the euro US dollar, and it's starting to push down. And like I said, it may reverse and go back up depending on what happens with the election, but that was a change in direction just because of one fundamental news statement. Okay, so that's what makes trading difficult, is predicting when those things are going to happen, and we can't just predict them. We get stuck in them. We get stuck in them as traders, and so it's our job to try to figure out how to play them best. Do we close out for a loss? Do we hold on to it? When is a good time to close out? Now, if I were holding a long position on the euro US dollar, and after the FBI case, and then with the push and the continuation back down, I would think probably a good time to close out my long positions on the euro US dollar, because the outlook may be changing. Um, and so you have to take those kind of things into consideration, um, so you can uh, so you can make a decision on how long or how short you should hold on to your positions. Sure, I can go, Amaze, I can go to the NZD, USD, and AUD Uh, Let me go to AUD first, since I think I have that one. No, I don't. Oh yeah, I do have one out. I have that one out. Okay. The Australian dollar has been moving up on pretty much all pairs. You look on the AUD USD, AUD CAD, um, and I'm not exactly sure what it was that caused the Australian dollar to push up. Some of you may know better than me. Like if I was trading the AUD USD or any odd pairs, I would likely know what was going on with it. Uh, It could be just standard play. I don't see any news statements talking about the Australian dollar over the past 24 hours. Looks like nothing red on the on forex factory in regards to the Australian dollar. Yeah, it looks like it's some standard play on the Australian dollar pushing up, uh, as far as I understand. Okay, so the odd CAD, it did open in a gap, just like pretty much everything did, um, and it did hit a nice support area at near 1.025, and then it recovered from there. Now, the difference of this recovery compared to the say the one on the euro US dollar is that it actually continued, and it's continuing now. The area of support up here is about to get hit. Uh, we're yet to see if this is going to break. Where a bearish engulfing candle is currently forming, which means that we could start to see a push back down and a break, or at least a tightening of the channel here, and we could see a wedge type of action going on here, especially since this is the we're near the election, and the election will cause most pairs to move in one way or another. Every country is affected by the US dollar elections. I was just in Canada. I was just in Canada a few days ago, and they were saying how it's crazy how much the Canadians know about the election and how important it is to them too, because they said that if Trump gets elected, that it's going to affect them in a big way, like a really big way, and their markets will crash as well, or struggle initially because of Trump being elected. They're very scared. From the people that I talked about, they are very scared about Trump coming into presidency. Okay, so yeah, for whoever said it was talking about the odd cat, it's a tricky time because I don't know if it's going to ride support or not. It's not a great time to buy. I would wait for it to shoot back down and look for a retracement near the last swing low, which is at the 1.0237 area. Uh, so a support or push anywhere in here, so somewhere in there, for a continued push back up. If the trend is going to continue. Um, but nothing I would take right now. It's not in a good place. It's in between. It's not. It hasn't broken the high yet. It looks like it could. It's right now holding at a resistance point and looking like it may have a retracement. Just not a great time to buy or sell. So the NZD USD, I think that's the pair that you were asking about. All right. This pair, same. It's a USD pair, uh, and right now it's kind of flat. But if the NZD has been pretty, as you can see, it's been pretty strong lately, and right now it's being affected not in a whole in a big way. It's in a tight range though, and it's getting tighter. So I'd imagine it could bounce around a little bit. Uh, we're near the support line. The thing is that's a little bit concerning is the swing high, so the highest swing high point, uh, was hit here as well. So a double peak and then it pushed back down, and then we're breaking the last swing low. So right in this area is looking like there could be at least the potential for a change in trend. As you can see in the previously, there was a good push up. There were even future retracements, but right now it's getting a bit insecure in here. I would hold out till we either break the swing high or the highest swing high, or have a bit more of a retracement after the big move. I would expect for more of a retracement and then a push back up and a continuation. That is if the NZD is going to continue. But if the NZD has been strong, the election could cause the NZD to start losing a bit in comparison to the USD. So be watching the elections because it will affect this pair. Oh, geez. Let's see. Morphez, Hillary and Trump, both of them have the potential to start World War III. Hillary pisses people off. Trump does the same. Trump doesn't have a lot of foreign policy. Hillary has a very flawed foreign policy. They both potentially rub people the wrong way. I know that Trump gets along with Putin very well, but Putin is not the world. He's Russia's a big power, but they're not the only place that uh, we need a good relationship with, or a better relationship with. Putin hates Hillary, that's obvious, and happens to like Trump. We don't know the fundamentals of the relationship, but they're both going to cause issues when it comes to relationships with other countries, and that's my opinion. Comparing Trump and Hillary to trading, I like it. Oh, Morpheus, she didn't personally create all the wars. Yeah, she had some part in it, but she didn't single-handedly start all these wars. That was a decision made by more than just one person. Putin likes oil. USA likes oil. Oil price ruined Russia. USA. Many people say Hillary Clinton is the complaining wife of an ex-president. Well, that's funny. Like I said, guys, they're both really flawed. Um, and I am uneasy about any of them being in presidency. I wish that I know that Obama has had his weaknesses as well. Um, but at least he's made some improvement over the 8 years. Maybe it's not as much as some people wanted, but I feel a lot more secure with him right now than I do with either Hillary or Trump. Yeah, let's get back to the charts as I'm going to end here in about 5 minutes. Okay, so what is good to trade right now? Okay, so what is good to trade today and what's good to trade during the election tomorrow? All right. Uh, as I said before, I as long as Hillary has the lead. So let's check CNN.com and we'll look at some of the states, see where the race stands. We'll look at some of the polls, see how things are going, and see what kind of news we're looking at for the vote. um, and who's pulling out an edge. So do your research with that, with the election, and as long as Hillary has the lead, it's likely that the euro-US dollar will go down. If people are unsure about that, then it will probably start to retrace a bit. And then that can easily happen during the course of today into into tomorrow. Uh, so as you guys know, I'm a U.S. resident. I don't know how many people of you in here are U.S. residents, but yeah, Obama was here for 8 years, and there is a deficit. But remember what Bush left him. Bush left a total disaster in the economy that Obama was expected to pick up and change around in 4 years' time. And it was so bad. People call it a recession, but it was so bad that I believe it was closer to a depression. The thing is that uh, we have financial things in place where a depression can't really happen. Things can always happen, but it's less likely to happen. It was a really deep recession, and Obama was expected to pick up the pieces, and you can imagine how difficult that would be with how Bush left it. The housing market started the whole crash, um, and it was just a mess to clean up. Uh, and we're just finally starting to recover from that, and it's only been in the past few years or 2 years, and we're being very cautious because now other countries like Europe and China and Japan are feeling the fallout of it as well. And Brexit, I mean, there's a lot of things that kind of stemmed from the recession in 2008 in other countries feeling the pain like we were back then. It's just a bit delayed of a reaction. Um, and Now we're just being very, very careful, and it makes sense because of the election season, uh, and other countries making sure that things don't get too bad and that we're taking the right steps when necessary. Homer Newman. Yeah, sometimes I think I would have liked a real black president instead of Obama when I see this. It's interesting when you say that because people are saying the same thing now about Hillary. It would be nice to have an actual woman president instead of Hillary. A lot of people don't see her as a woman, which is very interesting, and she kind of plays like uh like she is not a woman. She doesn't want to look weaker or less than the men out there, which a lot of people find is annoying. Some people find as positive that she's a strong-willed woman. Um, but every once in a while, it would be nice to actually see some kind of realization that she is a woman, you know. Um, but yeah, I think it does show some in her values that overall. Um, but uh, but yeah, she does try to hide it. No, you're right, Winston. Winston 123. Obama wasn't a bad president. They're actually saying people and analysts and or people are saying that Obama will go down in history as one of the best presidents that we've ever had, which is interesting because that's usually the case. What happens when a president comes and goes, uh, they aren't really looked at for their achievements until after their presidency is over. Um, and apparently that's what they're saying is going to happen. Is he'll be looked at as one of the best presidents of all time. Who knows if it will be on the same level as Kennedy, um, but I would imagine that most people will say that he is uh, that he started or he uh, was the one that put the band-aid uh, on the U.S. after the big recession hit. He was the one that started the healing process, um, and uh, and that's what I feel like he'll be known for. Also, Obamacare. I know that's either Hillary or Trump could potentially demolish it. In particular, Trump will. Um, but he'll be known for quite a few things, especially for his speaking too. Um, but that's just to name a few. I'm not an Obama expert, so don't quote me on anything. Um, no, you're right, Homer. China doesn't really appear to be helping the USA or Japan, and Europe either. No, every country is trying to worry about themselves right now. Um, and as you know, we owe a lot of money to Japan and China, uh, and and so relationships have been pretty tight with them anyway. So it's it's tricky times where countries are just trying to stay afloat, and they're not really caring too much about what's happening over here, but they still get included anyway. Like Canada is watching the election very closely because they are directly they I spoke to multiple people there, wealthy people especially, saying that they are going to be directly affected by the election. And so I know Canada is a very close neighbor to the U.S., um, but I'm sure that other countries will be directly affected by the U.S. election as well. Where's a good entry for the USD? That's really tricky to say. That's a good question though, because right now it's already started its down movement, right? So the ideal place to get in would have been right here, right at the pivot line, and that was the pivot line. This line was in place when the market hit that place, that area. Um, and then you see the wick and then the continuation back down. I didn't trade it. I actually didn't even know that the FBI really discontinued the case with Hillary until um, until this morning, before I started trading. But if I would have known what caused the big gap, I would have been like, oh shoot, I'm getting in on the Euro US dollar, and I might have done that. But I didn't. I actually just scalped a little bit. Um, so a good place to enter. Hmm. I mean, you could wait for a retracement. There could be a bounce right here back to the pivot level and then a continuation. You could technically enter at any time. So if you were to say, let's say you enter here, this could be the start or still the early movement of this happening, where it continues to go down. Um, and this could be the beginning. So you could get in at a decent time. Now, if it does decide to retrace back up, and Hillary's things are looking a little bit more sketchy with the election, but you still think that she's overall going to win, you could re-enter on your shorts, and look for another place for the market to push back down. So if you were going to enter now, I would say you could technically enter now. If you were more conservative, I would wait for a retracement back up, doesn't break the last swing high, and actually reverses near the pivot or before it, and then the continuation down. That would be probably the smartest thing to do, but honestly, you don't know if this is going to retrace at this point. It could just continue to go down. Uh, so if it were me, I would probably enter now and see how this selection plays out. I might even still enter this at a point here. What I'll do is I'm looking at this current level on the 1 hour, and I'm seeing that price looks like it may be holding at least temporarily right there. And so I'm going to see how it reacts to this level on the 15-minute time frame. I'm going to look at the price action. I'm going to see what candles are looking like it could bounce, and then I might take something here. So I'll play it out and see. But you understand that a good place there's two options: entering now, well, we're waiting for retracement, but we don't know if the retracement is going to happen here. It could happen anywhere on the way back down, now or later. It's a prediction. It's a guess. What's the smartest thing to do? Like I said, the smartest thing to do is to wait for some kind of retracement and then enter. Um, but if you're being the more conservative trader, you might miss that opportunity because it may never happen. Ryan for president. Yeah, I just saw your comment there, uh, Mr. DY. Uh, Robert FX, you're not the only person that says that Obamacare literally saved their life. Uh, you hear so much trash talk about Obamacare, um, and how people don't want to pay for it. Like for example, my mother-in-law, it drives me crazy. She doesn't want to pay for Obamacare. She's 50, okay, or close to 50. And she says, I don't want to pay for Obamacare because I'm healthy. I'm like, well, one, you're getting older, and just because you haven't had a lot of trouble doesn't mean that you won't get in an accident. Doesn't mean that you won't have all of a sudden get cancer or have some kind of surgery or problem with your body. As you get older, you're more susceptible to having issues, right? And it drives me crazy that she would rather pay the penalty, and she hates Obama because of it. She hates Obama because of Obamacare, and because she has to pay that penalty. I was like, well, honestly, why not just pay Obamacare and be protected because you are older, you're getting older, and you don't ever know when an accident's going to happen. It drives me crazy when people are so naive to think that something won't ever happen to them. Oh, well, if the tax dollars will pay for my accident if I get in a car accident and I lose a leg or something. You know, God forbid, but the thing is that people are so naive into thinking that that kind of stuff can't happen to them, that it's impossible, or they're so healthy that nothing's going to happen to them in the wrong way. And it's frustrating to me because Obamacare tries to cover as many people as possible so they don't become have to go bankrupt when they have an issue or have a surgery or have something that needs to be hospitalized. Um, and because people don't understand hospital bills. They don't understand that if you go to the hospital and you have to stay in the ICU or overnight for 24 hours, that could easily cost anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. They don't understand how expensive it is, and they say, well, if I can't pay for it, then tax dollars will. That you have to understand that they're going to go after you before that stuff happens. They're going to go after every cent that you have before they go to before they go to tax dollars. That includes your cars, your house, potentially, and other things that they're going to try to take from you, so you can pay off that hospital bill. It's not an easy thing. Um, and the penalty is not that much for people that don't want to pay Obamacare, but just get protected. It's not too bad, especially for families. It's cheaper, but for single people, that's why a lot of young people would rather pay uh, the fee or the penalty instead of actually getting it, because it's harder and it's more expensive to get health care for one person. Um, Anyways, that's my spiel with Obamacare. And I do recommend it. I'm under it, and it is cheaper for me, and I feel much better being protected even at age 31. Something could easily happen to me. I could get in a car accident. That's my worst nightmare, or something could happen to my wife. And I don't want to pay tons of money if I get faced with hospital bills. Anyways, uh, sorry about the spiel there. Ryan, do you see gaps closing on so many pairs on many pairs based solely on technicals? Gaps usually close sooner rather than later. Yes, Robert FX. I actually created an EA based on the gap, on the weakened gaps, where in most cases they actually do recover the gap. They don't cover the gap completely, but a lot of times there will be some push. This doesn't happen 100% of the time, but a good portion. The EA that I had would depend on it happening almost every single time and then getting out later on. There's a big problem with gap EAs is the spread after the gap is usually really high. On some brokers, the spread can be substantial, anywhere from 20 to 30 pips. Uh, and so the EA had trouble keeping up with the spread after the gap and making a profit after that. Since in order to make a profit on a higher spread, we need more of a push on the recovery of that gap. And unfortunately, most of the time there would be some kind of recovery, but it may not be enough to cover the spread that happens on the opening of the market. The best trade is to not trade tomorrow. Uh, I would agree with you, Morphez. But I'm also thinking about how there's a massive potential for Hillary to win. Now, you could compare it to, see, I'm actually going to enter a trade right now. Now, you could compare it to the Brexit. Now, the Brexit, a lot of people didn't think was going to happen. Now, the votes leading up to Brexit, if you saw the polls, you'd see that it was going back and forth for people being for Brexit, against it, and you would see that the numbers were sometimes close and sometimes pretty far from each other. Um, and the pound would jump up and down based on those polls before the actual Brexit vote happened. Um, so what I'm saying is that the election could have the same kind of effect here. Um, that most people were thinking that, oh, Brexit was impossible to happen. It's just never going to happen. It's so unlikely that a country would leave the European Union, and it happened. Why did it happen? Well, is because we realized that a lot of people didn't fully understand what would happen if they voted to leave the European Union. They were pissed at the European Union. They understood that there were problems and they were paying a bunch of fees to the European Union and didn't really fully understand why they had to pay those fees or taxes or being taxed higher because of those fees. Um, and they just wanted to separate themselves. They're sick of being babysat by a country. Um, and they didn't understand what it meant to leave and what the fallout would be. And I feel like it's a very similar situation here with Trump. That people don't understand what could happen to the financial market once if Trump becomes president. They don't understand what could happen to foreign policy once Trump is president, or pretty much anything once he's president. We don't really know exactly what's going to happen. We have a better idea with Hillary because she's been in politics, and we've seen her in politics for a long time, being Secretary of State and all that kind of stuff. And we understand a little bit more of her background history, even though flawed. We understand that she what to expect better. Um, and so in relation to Brexit, I don't feel like people fully understand the fallout of what could happen if Trump becomes president, whether it's in the financial markets or whether it's in anything, whether it become if it's the economy, if it's foreign policy, um, if it's even in him attacking the publications because he doesn't like them. What is he going to do? And so that's that could happen. We could have a surprise vote what happened in Brexit, where a lot of these voters don't fully understand. Now, I'm not saying that you guys don't fully understand who Trump is and why you're voting for him. Uh, you Most people I find are voting for Trump because they don't like Hillary. They're not necessarily voting for Trump because they like his values. How far can make America great again pull? How far can that saying go when it has no detail on how to make America great again? What he's going to do to make it great again? He hasn't given us a lot of detail on that. And so the idea of uh, this utopian idea that Trump is going to make things better once he's president is is a misconception because we don't really know what he's going to do to make it better. And I've watched all the presidential debates. I don't understand what he's going to do yet to make it a better place. Um, and so that's, I guess, my thoughts on Trump and actually comparing him to Brexit. Uh, Maybe a little bit hasty, but I think you get more my point with that. Um, I'm not saying that Hillary is a perfect candidate by any means. There's a lot of problems with her too, and what could happen there with some of the things that she stands for. But a lot more insecurity with Trump, though. All right, coming to the questions. All right, I know there's a lot coming in. Ryan, what happens when they run out of money? Is this not your personal work? I don't know what you mean. Is this not your personal work? You mean trading? Um, I trade full time right now. At least until January, I will be trading full time. Still waiting for the Euro NZD gap to close. It may not close all the way, Winston. Not always. The gaps don't always close. So don't be dependent upon that gap closing completely. It may close a bit, but it may not even close at all. Um, don't get tied locked into uh, counting on something to happen when it just may not. I understand. I mean, I'm doing the same thing here. I'm counting that on Clinton winning the election or the pressure of her potentially taking the election um, could have a positive effect on my trade. And so I guess you could say that I'm counting on her taking the election at this point. All right. And but I also know that when it comes to the expectations and how the stats are looking on multiple news publications, including the one I think what is it called? Five something. It's a numbers website. That's the title. They predicted every state in the last election, and they have right now Hillary coming out as the winner. And if she doesn't win, let's say Trump wins and my trade skyrockets, the euro US dollar jumps up in a big way. I'll play it out. I think that the it's temporary that the euro will gain against the USD. It could last a few days, it could last a week, it could last maybe a month, but I'll hold it out because I do think that the continuation for the euro USD will still be down. I'm getting into your questions, guys. I know I'm getting there. I don't know if they will suddenly crash. That's hard to say. Will it go down? Will it jump up? I don't know. But what we saw back here with the gap after FBI releasing that statement about Hillary's emails, we could see a substantial push down if the election is positive. Um, I would guess maybe if Hillary wins, uh, or once uh, the stats are in, uh, or the predictions start rising, where it's looking closer and more likely that she's going to win. I would think that there could be a push down on the euro US dollar or of maybe 100 to potentially 200 pips. That would be my prediction. Now, will I hold on to that long? Probably not. I probably won't hold 100 pips. Right now, I just have a profit set at 30 pips. I might change that, but right now I'm leaving it as is. So yeah, Pac-Man, it's hard to say if it will if the markets will suddenly crash. It's not like we're gonna have another Brexit type of movement here on the euro US dollar. No, I don't see that happening. But I do see a potential for 100 to maybe 200 pips based on those results. Ryan, yes, the government. What happens when they run out of money spending all uh, these extra on thing like benefits, helping people out in countries that hardly ever show forms of thankfulness, that kind of thing. Yeah, Homer, you're hitting on what Trump was talking about in one of the elections, where he's saying that we help a lot of countries, we give them food, military, and military in defense, and they don't pay us anything in response. Uh, but the thing is that you don't. What Trump is forgetting to let people know is we are in debt to other countries. They've paid us to get help us get out of our slump in 2008. We owe tons to Japan and China. And he forgets to tell people that they paid us to help get us out of a financial mess. And we borrowed a bunch of money. And it's just part of the understanding of a friendship between two countries that if we're in trouble, they'll help us. And if they're in trouble, we'll help them. And it's not like this type of payment or you expect some kind of uh, repayment back from that person. I mean, it's hard to, I mean, maybe I could compare it to a relationship. When you do something nice for your spouse, you it's not always the best thing to expect some kind of acknowledgement for whatever you've done. It's nice to get that, but to base that action that you did for them on the potential for a to get acknowledgement or to be thanked, it's not always the case. Now I can say that in most cases for me in my marriage that is the case where if I do something, I get acknowledgement for it, but it doesn't. I'm not basing that thing I'm doing for that person off of that, or feeding or wanting that acknowledgement. Um, and I feel like that shouldn't be the case with countries. That we shouldn't be they shouldn't have to pay for us to help them defend their country if they're being attacked. It should be just a thing, token of our friendship to them. Yes, it costs money, but they would do the same for us if that was the case. Again, opinions. I could get balled out for the things I'm saying here. Oh well. What to do you think of the UJ? All right, I'm still going here. I should stop. I think the UJ will continue to rise based on the strength of the USD. The USD is looking at the elections, and the USD will continue to rise up if Hillary is expected to win. And that's still a prediction. If Hillary is expected to win, we could see the markets push down a bit, or the USD could technically weaken, but I'm not seeing that with how the gap worked out over the weekend. Again, for those newcomers coming in, I do think that the UJ will continue to push up at this point, as long as Hillary has a lead in the election. Okay, so we're seeing a little bit of a potential retracement happening now. We'll see how big that retracement is. It's right near the support level at 1.1035. Let's see, GJ. Ryan, yes, you are currently using EAs, or is this your personal work? I am using a combination of two. So the EAs I'm running on the pound Australian dollar. You can see the two trades that I took. That it took when I was in Canada, and there were pretty substantial wins, and I can show you that now. So what do those EA wins look like? So here is here are the two. So 23 pips for one and then 5 pips for the other. I came out with more than half a percent from those two trades. Here is the one on the pound, the euro pound. I came out with more than half a percent on that one as well. And then another EA trade on the pound Australian dollar at 0.19 lots, which is more than my trading typically, but the EA is allowed to do that. Also came out with 0.60 percent in profit. I'll talk more about the EA on my next stream, what it looks for, how it trades. The results are very good over the course of since 2010. That there are almost constant wins with small losses, or the potential for loss uh, is very rare. Okay, um, and I'm also scalping now. For those of you still watching, like maybe Robert FX, uh, I have a scalping system. The market is not volatile enough right now for me to be taking any positions. Now this is called TMA News EA FIFO 2.0. That's just my title. I look for the market to bounce to the red line at the top, um, and this is a channel type of indicator. So when the market bounces and hits the red and green lines, that means I take a buy position, I take a sell position when it moves past. Now there's a lot of conditions for my scalping. This is the scalping that I did to make all those profits on my previous accounts, or most of the profits. So the one that you see here, this was mostly scalping. The one that you see here, this was all scalping, pretty much entirely scalping here. And you can see that my drawdown was low and my profit was high over the course of months. Um, and this was at a non-regulated broker with 500 to 1 leverage. Now it's much harder to scalp on a 50 to 1 leverage account. The most I can probably likely make is about 2 to 3% scalping. Now I'll scalp when I'm not heavy in trades on my EAs, and I'll my scalping is pretty cool. You'll be in trade. I'll be in trades very quickly, in and out of trades very quickly. Most of the time, I won't be in longer than 15 to 30 minutes on the trades that I take. It is a martingale type of trading, of scalping. It means that once I hit this level, I do a sell, and if it continues to rise up, I'll enter another sell. It's similar to my counter trend trading technique, but each level I will martingale. So if we're doing it at 0.01, I'll enter 0.02 and then 0.04 and so forth until the market does have a small recovery. Now I don't need a very large recovery when I'm martingaling like that. I only need about 5 pips, 5 pips in my favor at one point. So if this is pushing up, pushing up, pushing up, pushing up, I only need 5 pips in order to come out with profit overall. And likely the euro US dollar, since that's the only pair I trade on when scalping, will do that. And that's what I've done over my past trading. It's what I did for about 8 months, almost exclusively. I was able to profit almost 20% per month on a consistent basis. Now, since I have to lower my risk on that, uh, I have to make a lot less, and that's fine. That's fine. I also have a larger account, so I'm okay with that. All right, there's so many questions. Ryan, can you make a profit solely trading for 100 pips and stop loss? It's hard, Homer. You need a trading strategy that has around a 70% win rate. If you have 100 pips profit, what's your stop loss? Is your stop loss 20 pips? Is it 50? Is it 100? Is it a 1-to-1 ratio? It's a combination of how many pips you're taking for profit, what's your stop loss, what's your win rate. And the most important thing that you should be looking at now, or I should be looking at right now, is the win rate. What's the win rate, and how many pips am I taking? What's the risk profile on each trade too? So it's not just about one thing. A lot of people think, oh, you're not taking your risk to reward on pips isn't good. It's too your profit on pips is too low compared to your loss that you're having. That's not always the case. You have to look at, okay, what's your risk profile? Because there are people that can win in the market on a consistent basis, only winning 50% of the time or 55% of the time. So it's not just about one thing. It has to be a combination of multiple aspects to be a profitable trader. Right? Yes, because they are always saying how great it is, but it looks rather like an upcoming disaster. What looks like a upcoming disaster. By the way, what short the US CAD now because it looks too volatile. USD CAD. Is it very volatile right now? It's not too volatile right now. It's only this current candle is only about 15, 16 pips. The previous candle is only about 23. Volatile to me is when it's really launching. Like if you see a candle like this one right here. That's a bigger candle. But what's happening right now is not too bad. Uh, Another small. Okay, what channel indicator you use? Remember, Pac-Man, say my name so I just in case I might not see what you're saying. The channel indicator. I don't have one really. If I draw channels, I just draw them with my marker. Um, But if you're talking about the this line indicator, that is just a standard MA color change custom indicator. It's not much better than a like a 100 EMA or 200 EMA. It just shows me when it's green, it means it's the market is uh, likely to go long or possible ability to go long, or it's in a trending pattern. The purple means it's down in a trending pattern, but it's a delayed indicator, meaning that it really needs to change in order for for it to catch the trends. So it could be too late. The indicator that I'm using here, I don't know where I got it from. The support resistance indicator, but if you look up pivots underscore daily underscore version 1, something might come up in Google. It's a pretty good indicator. It shows you if you don't know where to pick support resistance in previous price action. I can do it with a naked chart. I don't need an indicator to show me where the support resistance points are. But some of you traders may need to know where they are, and this indicator actually points them out pretty well. As you can see here, it reversed especially at this top resistance level 3, and it could be beneficial for you. Okay. Homer, yes, I am manual trading. I was manual trading. Actually, I should say that. Um, where's my account? So this is my manual trading account. I've been trading this account since April 2016. Okay, so for a while, and you can see my results were good, and then they started turning not so good. That was all manual trading. So I see that there's weakness in my strategy. The weakness is my losses are too much, are too big in comparison to how long I can profit for. The thing is what I was hoping for is I was able to not get hit with these losses too often, these bigger dips. I knew that the dips were larger and that they would cut into my profits in a big way, but I was able to make them back in a pretty fast way. But the thing is I was dependent upon them not happening too often, and they were happening too often. Now the reason for that was because I was counter trend trading in a trend market, uh, and the trending was too heavy, causing me to have losses. Now, what I've done since then was start trading with the trend on the cutbacks. So what I've been telling you guys about, let me see here. Let me find a. Okay, so here's a good example. So we have a trend moving up. So trend moving up. And I would enter on the cutbacks of that trend. So we have the cutback here, a minor cutback, it's not huge. And then it touches the support here and then bounces it back up, right? So that's, you'd probably think, oh, well, that's probably a better strategy. But what about this? What if the trend is down? So it's moving down here. You can see my EMA color, EMA has changed color, and it's looking like the market's going to move down from there. But what about when it hits this support level here and it doesn't necessarily reverse? Well, I can enter again here on trade 2, trade 1, trade 2, and then trade 3. I have a pending order placed up there, and it doesn't execute, so I enter at trade 3 here, and it does reverse. So in this particular case, it went against me in a big way and it came back down. But that doesn't always happen. What I'm saying is that even with trend trading, you can still get into bad situations, even if you're entering on the pullbacks, like I am here. This happened to be the pullback, and it pushed back up from there, right? But this could have continued back down without almost zero, with zero pullback, and continued against me in a big way. So you're never safe. You're never safe, no matter if you're counter trend trading or if you're trend trading. Trend trading may be a little safer now because the markets are trending in a big way, but it may not always be the case. Okay. Um, so what I'm doing right now is I take a few trend trades here and there, but what I'm mostly focusing on is my EA. My EA is a counter trend trading strategy, and uh, how that works is looks for a big push in one direction, and it looks for my RMI indicator to be below the 20 level in this case. So a big push down, and then we're looking for a pullback. And the pullback happened after the inside candle. Now my EA actually looks for inside candles, in this case a bullish inside candle after a big push down on the bearish side, and then enters looking for about 20 pips or so profit. And in this case it did happen, and you see that I was able to take advantage of that pullback. Now that's what the EA does, and it's one of my most successful EAs over the longer term. How long I will use it, I will see, but I'm going to be playing it out for the next while, and it looks to make me some pretty good profit, at least over the mid to longer term. So the next thing I'll be doing is scalping. I'll be scalping, and the scalping won't give me a lot of profit, but it will give me anywhere from 2 to 3% added on top of that. Now, if I have too much leverage taken out by my EA on the EA trades, I will not be placing any scalp. I will not be taking any scalp trades. I want to keep my leverage or my margin level at a safe level, so I'm not getting into too much trouble. All right, I'm going to end here since I think Josh is coming on before long. Um, let's see. Doesn't look right. The one you use for scalping EU. Oh, okay, yeah, that is. I'm not sure where to find this one either. It's called. I think it's just called the TMA TradeMate Other period. Let me see if this is the one. Oh yeah, so it's if you search TradeMate, TrendMate another period, you might come up with some results in Google. So give it a try. Let me just double check. Okay, that's not, nope, that's not it. So look up TMA indicators, and you'll find something that shows up. This is a repainting indicator, so don't be fooled by the way it looks, because it will swoop depending on the previous history, but it's still usable. Repainting indicators are still usable in the market if you use them correctly. So right now, current situation, the market is bouncing up against me. Now I'm going to see how it plays this level here. If it continues to push up, I'll be looking at the price action for hints on when it will start its retracement back down, or if that happens, it could extend its way up higher. So currently in drawdown, only $3 though, so not a big deal. All right. All right, guys, that's it for me today. I'm gonna check. Actually, well, not yet. I'm gonna check with YouTube just to see. There's probably been some stuff that's been coming through. Uh, so because so Diego, it's good to see you still around. So because the Euro US dollar has gapped, don't the gap need to close? It won't close completely. It may not close completely. You guys saw that it didn't close. Usually when the gap is larger, the uh, the uh, the gap will close. There'll be more of a recovery on that gap. Um, so for example, there was an 80 pip gap, right? So there was a bounce up of 50 pips, but it doesn't have to recover that gap completely. Understand that there may be a bit of a close of that gap, but it may not be 100%. Um, yeah, see, no, it doesn't need to close. Maybe not today, but although it has to close, it doesn't. Like I said, Diego, it doesn't have to close. Um, but there's that potential for a bounce or recovery of that gap in some way or form is very possible. I would stay away from the euro US dollar at this moment, is what Truth Spoken is saying. It's very good advice, and I also recommend the same. I to take a small trade. This is not a large trade by any means. It's just a 0.04 on a $7,500 account. It's very small. I will look to enter on more positions, but I'll probably be hesitant to do so really heavily up until that election. I'm not going to want to go in really deep on trade two or trade three or trade four, even for that matter, until the election is a little bit more secure on who's actually going to win. All right. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will follow up with you tomorrow uh, on election day, and we'll see what's kind of played out since then. All right. Thanks so much for watching, and see you tomorrow.